Welcome to the Holding Priority Podcast, the Magic the Gathering CEDH podcast. I'm Cardboard Cryptid.
Not the Gaming Ghost.
On today's episode, we'll continue to discuss the core CEDH skills, part 2.
The first one got a lot of love from everybody. We appreciate that. Just some things that kind of help, I guess.
Yeah, we almost doubled our YouTube subscribers, which is
It's
big.
pretty insane.
Yeah, thank you so much. We got a lot of comments, a lot of likes. It seemed like you guys really enjoyed it. So normally on a two-parter, we kind of drop part 1, let everybody kind of get it, and then usually there's a set review or a tournament. And we did do a really big tournament last weekend, but with the kind of results and how much you guys told us that you liked part 1, we were just like, hey, let's push part 2 out. Let's not make them wait. A tournament is fresh in our minds, but it seems like you guys like this one better. So let's go.
It's also more relevant at the moment. It would be less relevant later.
Yeah, I mean, we also still have we have 3 weeks in a row of tournaments in October, so it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So we'll have probably a mega podcast, and both of us have drafted new decks. We'll probably talk about it over there, but on the tournament. But there was a comment by one of our long-term subscribers that was like, hey, I kind of would like you guys to draft up a deck and then tell us about how your experience was in a tournament. I kind of went back to one of my older decks, just 3 tournaments in a row. I didn't want to think. If you guys have been listening to podcasts for a while, you might know what it is, but I'll save that for another episode. And then Ghost ended up making an entirely new 5-color deck that he's testing out right now, and we'll be able to share some experience on what we went through, kind of making new decks, drafting up new stuff. Yeah,
it's a little bit, not to give too much on the deck, but it's a little bit out of my play style.
It has a companion.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm more of mid-range. This is kind of to the point type of deck. So
yeah, which is hard in 5-color,
it's
but
different.
It's working. It's doing it. Yeah. Before we get into the core CGH skills, let's get into the shuffle up. I fixed the button this time.
I like it. It's on a hair trigger now.
Yeah. We got a lot of new comments. I'm going to run through those. So these were on the core CDH skills part 1. Cully Cuniff 1776 says value silence every time. Hell yeah. Life though says no meow in the comments, sad face, which I commented.
We did it.
Meow.
As you do.
Also, meow. Erratic Asian said excited for this topic, but as a newer player, would have been nice to have some kind of visual. Yes, visuals come in eventually. I think this one would have had to be a PowerPoint presentation, which I don't. It would have been tough. I know that a lot of people have asked for video podcasts where it's shows us in a clean room sitting next to each other. We're not there yet. We have set this thing up with very minimal investment, but
we're simple men.
Yeah. Eventually when things get up there and this is something that we do as actual income side job, gonna happen. Visuals, we do put in cards whenever we do set reviews.
We do.
I do look for excuses for visuals. I could have done probably a data PowerPoint. I think that would help. We're probably more podcast first right now. On YouTube, I know people like to listen to us. I would kind of listen to stuff while I was at work and just have it up on the side. And even then I would find myself wanting to zone out and I'd look at the video. So it is nice to have some kind of visuals. Definitely on the to-do list. We're just 2 dudes that love Magic. Not very tech savvy.
No. And also I mean, we could do some acting, I guess. And have a table and it's just you in the same chair and we just flip it around.
Well, what
Okay,
I could
one,
do
two, three.
is after we record the episode, I could make a little thumb puppet theater and I could act it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely there. We definitely want to do it. I just don't have a room. We basically do this in my kitchen on the dining room table. So, yeah, things would have to change to make it a little bit better. And with you guys' support, definitely going to when we get there. MVTTVB says, been listening to y'all for a few weeks and made it through the backpack catalog. Thanks for the new episode. That's crazy. We are at like 40 episodes. This is 41, and we're like 2 hours usually. So that's like you've spent almost 80 hours with us. Like, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
That's two weeks of work. So hopefully been enjoyable. If you listen to it, let us know what your favorite episode is. If you guys have a favorite episode, please put it in the comments. Adam Cartagena 2924. I'm nowhere near done with the video, but commenting for the algo. Started playing in Foundations and have my first CDH tourney in a week. Thanks for sharing your perspective on the game. Thank you so much. The comments really help. I think we got like 2 or 3 comments the first day of this video, and then after that it blew up. Like, that's how easy it is. So
Yeah, we can't thank you guys enough for just a like and a comment. Does a lot.
And then WM Beck 4911 says, as a relatively new player, I have thought the first person to make a theory course on CDH is going to become a millionaire. I hope you're right.
Yeah, it would all go to cards though.
It would all go to cards and then upgrading to a video podcast
and cards.
Yeah, and we do spell table more often.
Yeah.
That's it for the comments. Just a reminder that we do have a link tree. Speaking about spell table nights, we usually do it Tuesday after episode release. We've been kind of moving the time around just to see what works best for you guys. In that link tree, we do have Discord. That's where we post the spell table nights. We've been pretty active. There's been a lot of people jumping in the Discord, kind of being like, hey, this tournament's in my backyard. Hey, I went to a tournament the other day and I thought I was going to lose, but with you guys' help, I kind of realized that I could probably negotiate a tie, and I was able to. So instead of having 0 points, I got 1 point. And it's crazy, like, how 1 point, like 10 points in a tournament is really good. 2 wins, 3 losses. But when you get that to 2 wins and 1 tie, you'll jump up like 10 ranks. Like, it's crazy.
You're definitely, it's maybe top 10 or top 16 or whatever. And then with the 11 points, it's for sure, usually.
Yeah. I've had 11 points going into my last round and been first place, which is crazy. Yeah.
Honestly, I was wanting to touch on the Discord too. It's been really cool to see that we have been giving some value to you guys playing. Mm-hmm. And some of the stories in it are pretty cool. Like, I've seen a lot of really cool interactions that had happened, or listened or read some really cool interactions. But
we saw some modified rats, like 20 of them, that had all different art. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of altars and sign cards and all that. We also have people from all over the world that like listens to our podcast, which to me is like blows my mind. Like, when someone goes in and they're like, hey, I'm from Australia and I listen to your podcast, I'm just like, that's cool. That is so cool.
Alaska. All over. It's been all over.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. Like I said, we're pretty, or like Crypta said, we're pretty active in it. So you shoot something in there, and normally we hit a reply back. So.
I'm unemployed and I get bored. So if I see it, I'm probably replying to it.
Yeah. It'd be a whole conversation.
Yeah. And then we do have TCG Player. If you're listening to this and you're just like, I'm going to pull the trigger, I'm going to upgrade my deck, please use our TCG Player link in the link tree. It's going to be in the description of either the podcast or the YouTube video. Free to you, helps us a lot. Even if you click it and you're like, I'm not really sure I'm going to buy anything, let me click this and just go to TCG Player. Like, that helps because it shows people, it shows TCG Player that we're actively sending people over, and other people that might be wanting to like affiliate with us. So even if you just click it and you check it out, like, that helps a lot. If you click it, you check it out, and you buy something, that helps even more. Yeah, really cool. We've been seeing people use that quite a bit. We have been able to upgrade the podcast a little bit. The sound effects, that was purely from TCG Player, so thank you guys.
Oh yeah, for sure. Also, like, I forgot what I was going to say. I lost it. I lost it.
And then if you're on YouTube, please comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps a lot. And if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, please rate us 5 stars, nothing less. I mean, you can, but 5 stars really helps. And then if you could set the podcast to auto download, we usually release around like 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Central. So if you're one of those people that you just want to get up, have something to listen to while you're on the way to work, if you set us to auto download, it'll be there waiting for you, so where you don't have to use any of your data plan. And then on top of it, it's really cool because whenever I make an episode go live, I'll see like 100 people download it, and it's really cool. So
for sure. And I do remember what I was going to say now.
Okay.
Not to be, it just went completely blank. I really think the TCG link is good for whenever we're doing reviews, for sure, because we do call a lot of the unsung cards. By no means do we get them all, but I think that just due to our knowledge and experience through it, we can kind of call some of these cards that may be cheap early and then go up a few dollars for sure.
I think every set we've had at least one card that was like, Polywog Prodigy, y'all should pick up for Taru, y'all should pick up for, like,
yeah.
Even some of the uncommons where we're like, you don't even need to pick them up. Just
be on the lookout.
When you draft, know that these are strong and probably going to be like $2 to $3 uncommons. So like, pick them up in your drafts. If you're the type of person that buys a box, like when you set your rares aside, maybe also put these in the rare pile.
For sure. Just again, I'll probably mention it on our next review of a set, but I do think that it's a prime time to kind of look at it and see, because sometimes those unsungs are pretty cheap and then they go up like $3-4 easy.
Yeah, that'll be Avatar in November, which I think next episode's probably going to be our tournament roundup, and then after that, Avatar, which I mean, Avatar honestly might beat it. So yeah, we'll have to see.
I'm excited about Avatar.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the CEDH core skills. Last time we left off at play style, I believe. Politics is our next one. Politics, we definitely have a super in-depth episode on that. So we're going to very lightly touch politics here. If you're somebody that you're like, no, like that's what I need to work on, we have a full, very good politics episode that's in the backlog. We've been breaking them down by seat order just because that makes the most sense. So if you are in seat 1, politics, just know you probably are not going to be able to. Like,
not really.
Yeah. Seat 1 it's a position where it's pretty hard because you have the highest win rate, and anybody that's sitting there should kind of know it. You're going to have a hard time really making any type of progress. Like, if you drop a fish and someone has a mental misstep, it's pretty hard to argue that you should keep the fish, because it's like, hey, I only have one land in my hand. It's like, cool, figure it out. You were seat 1. You shouldn't have kept that. You know?
I mean, maybe you get a little more leeway on politics if you're less than 5 cards.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But even then, like, if you've mulliganed to less than 5 cards.
You have you should have a really good hand if you've done that in seat 1.
Yeah. But, I mean, as far as, you know, you should let my Ristic resolve.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, meh.
Yeah. And I will say, unless there's an Atali.
Yeah.
If there's like an Atali and someone puts down a fish and somebody mental missteps it, I'll be like, hey, you shouldn't do that. Atali is like gonna go off, and that's the only thing holding Atali back. Like, I don't want them to have a fish, but you shouldn't mental misstep. And then if that person's like, well, I have a fish, I'll play it, then I'm like, cool. Counter away. You know,
Yeah, do you.
Yeah, usually seat 1, my politics there is I know that I'm not going to be begging for anything and getting it through. So a lot of the times I'm just more the voice of reason in seat 1, where I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, you could counter this fish. I wouldn't blame you, but like, Vivi's here. Do you want Vivi to just go? Or like, if I play a Soul Ring and somebody counters it, I'll just be like, yeah, you know, but I get that me having a Soul Ring isn't great, but you know, my commander is not colorless. Like, really, with the Soul Ring, all I'm wanting to do is like have mana for Ristic Studies. Are you going to get it? Probably not. But you know,
Again, by no means do I think you should be underhanded with your politics there. But it's just hard to, and it makes sense for the game.
yeah, mine is more like Jiminy Cricket voice of reason, where it's like, you can do that. I do not have a counter spell to stop it, but you know, do we really want to be fighting over a Soul Ring? You know, or like, you know, that interaction, yeah, you can hit my Soul Ring, but maybe you should hit like a tutor, a 1-drop tutor, or, you know, an Esper Sentinel, or, you know, are you going to try to win? Maybe you just keep it. You know, it's more like letting people know why they maybe shouldn't use a counter so early. And then if somebody counters it, fair enough. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to complain. Like, one of my biggest things that we've seen in tournaments is somebody seat 1 dropping Mystic Remora, getting a mental misstep, and then complaining about it until turn 3.
Yeah, no.
And I'm just like, be quiet. You're seat 1. Like,
Yeah.
you should not assume anything's going to resolve in seat 1. And like, whenever someone complains like that in the first seat, especially, I'm just like, I do not want to politic with you. I don't want to work with you. Like, you clearly don't understand value, or like, you know, what's going on. I don't agree with your outlook on the game. I'm kind of done. You know,
Yeah.
like, I know it's a lot of the times whenever I'm in seat 1 and like, let's say I play a Soul Ring, I play a Lotus Petal, and I crack it and I drop a food chain, and then someone counters it with a Force of Will. I'm just like, yeah, I had to try. Pass. You know, like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, if this resolved, I probably would have been winning, but you caught me. You know?
Oh no.
Yeah. And yeah, I will say people are usually like, yeah, I mean, this guy gets it. You know, like.
For sure.
Did you have anything to add about just overall seat 1?
It would depend on actual deck compositions. Like, who are you playing? You can get by with a little more here and there, but for the most part, like, there's not a whole lot. Like, it depends on the value. An Esper Sentinel, maybe you get it through. I think that a Remora turn 1, there's really no argument. Like, I'm not gonna play that. Like, just go ahead and counter it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you know, I get it. Yeah,
And plus, like, your seat 1, if you listen to the last one, we kind of go through what your mulligan should kind of look like.
yeah,
So if you saved your, especially if it's your first 7, you know what I mean? Like, it just expect you're not going to get any leeway.
yeah.
There's not a lot of politicking. The best thing I would say is to learn the decks that you're playing against, and maybe you can not necessarily sneakily deflect some of that, but like be like, hey, I know I'm first, but I'm blue farm, and this is a Tolly next. Like, I'm really just trying to get this here. If that doesn't make sense, do what you want.
Yeah,
But
yeah. If you can stop Atali and stop me, great.
if not, I don't like when I was playing Blue Farm. I don't want to be that guy that's like, well, let me find interaction, because I hated the Blue Farm players that did that. But just in general, be like, it's harder for them to continue if this is here.
Yeah. What about seat 2 or 3 politics? I'll let you start on this one.
I would say these are about the same.
Yeah.
2 really kind of has a little bit more of a power position on reacting to whatever happened with seat 1. So like seat 2 can be like, well, hey, I'm not going to feed the fish if we agree.
Yeah.
Or this turn I'll pay the 1, or whatever it might be. I'm not going to give them that advantage this turn. Can we agree? If not, I'm going to go ahead and play 2.
Yeah. We either play responsibly or we flood them.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. It's like, if we're going to make them draw, I can make them draw. If we're going to play responsibly and try to starve it out, we can starve it out. Whatever we all want to do, just let me know.
And I would argue that like seat 3, if you play 2 cards and you get a Ristic out or something like that, I get it.
You're now seat 1.
You know what I mean? Like I get it. But you always want to be mindful of the card advantage and the value on board, especially a fish that draws no cards is almost like nothing happened, whereas a fish that draws 3 is kind of paid for itself plus.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a lot of times people carry just insider information. If I have a seat 1 fish, they may not have another land.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Going back to seat 1, I forgot one thing. If seat 2 has gemstone, I argue that they're seat 1. That's the one thing that I will do.
Yes.
Am I right? Well, I don't know.
I would say kind of. It would depend on their play, because sometimes it's gemstone and another land.
Well, so seat 1, you would not know that seat 2 had anything. So usually, if I'm in seat 1 and someone has a gemstone that's in seat 2 or 3, I'll say like, hey, I get it that I'm seat 1, but seat 2 is starting with 2 mana. Can we agree they're the problem?
Yeah. I agree.
And then reversely, when I'm in seat 2 or 3, the scariest deck at the table is seat 1. I don't care if it's, I don't care who it is. It could be anybody. I'm always going to be like, well, they went first. Like,
Spittle flip.
Yeah. Why are we stopping me? Like, we're just going to let seat 1 run off with the game. Like, they're scary.
It's like they've drawn 2 cards.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it is what it is. I think seat 2 and 3 are kind of about the same. Like I said, I would say that 2 has a little bit more of an advantage, and 3 is more of react. But if it's a higher value than you see on the board, I would say a Ristic Study turn 1 in seat 3 is worth 2 cards, 3 cards maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think you should draw them 5 cards. I think that's a little too much, but
yeah, I mean, also it depends. Like, if they went down to 4, maybe I don't care.
That's true.
Yeah. What about seat 4? How do politics work for seat 4 in your opinion?
There's not a lot. First off, if you're playing a tournament or something and you're looking at seat 4 for answers, you're doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Seat 4 is just happy to be here. and they're trying whatever they can to do whatever they can. Pretty much, you just politic to keep whatever value you get, and sometimes the best is a draw. It just is what it is. But you want to keep as much value in your mulligan as you can, and then try to have as much of that reflect on the board as fast as you can.
My argument in seat 4 is always just going to be me being like, you can count my spell, but I'm in seat 4. Like, all right. Like, or people will be like, are you going to feed the fish? And I'm just like, I'm in seat 4. I don't care about fish. Like,
usually mine is, how many are you going to feed it?
Yeah.
Like how much, or can you make it without it?
Yeah.
And then if you can't, should we just flood them?
Well, so I will make everybody think that whenever I'm in seat 4, unless I'm just truly like, if I can feed the fish, I'm probably going to, unless like seat 1 is just above all in a way, like gonna win the game on turn 2. People should just assume that I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get back in the running.
That's true.
Like I'm not going to be helpful. I'm probably not going to be the one that you should think is going to stop people. Like I'm in seat 4. I'm just building. If you guys, like you said, if you're looking at me to sword something, if you're looking at me for counters, don't trust me with nothing. Like I'm like a toddler that just got handed a permanent marker. Like I'm gonna do with it whatever I want. Like you guys just got to deal with it.
We're going.
Yeah, it's like my focus is on building. I kind of don't care what else is around. Like if seat 4 I can drop a land, a lotus petal, and a Drannith, like that's great. I'll feed the fish to do that.
Of course. I think that's very fair. I think that, and again, you can talk it out when you're playing to see what people are doing. It's really, seat 1 kind of sets the tone for the game a little bit, and then everybody else just kind of falls in.
I mean, there's even times in seat 4 where I'm like, I could cold push a combo, but it's not going to get through. Seat 1 needs to be boss monster. Like I'll feed the fish twice. And then when I feed the fish twice, I'll always be like, well, guys, seat 1 has 9 cards. Like, like that, he just played a Grand Abolisher. You got to force of will that. And then they get around to my turn and I'm like, cool. Well, that first force of will is burnt. I'm going to try. Like,
it's like, Thassa?
Yeah. Like,
thank you for forcing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. And I mean, really, in seat 4, you should be as greedy as you can be without just giving the game to another player.
Yeah, that's the key part, is really knowing how greedy you can be but not give the game away.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe there's a value system that we could try to come up with, but maybe that's just too much to kind of work with.
Value system. Don't be dumb. Like,
well, I mean, is a Ristic worth 3 cards? Is a I don't know, just something like that.
I'll give away at most two card draws a person on my turn.
Yeah, I could see that. Any more than that, you're giving the game up for yourself.
Yeah.
And for the most part.
Yeah. I just, when I'm in seat 4, I'm a cardboard goblin. Like I'm building. If you guys want to stop me, great, but I mean, you should stop seat 1.
I had a lot of games when I was playing Tivit where if I'm seat 3, if it's a 3-man pod and I'm seat 3, I'm like, guys, my win con isn't even that great now. Like Time Sieve doesn't even work that well. And then I end up winning the game
with Thassa combo.
Yeah, something like that. It just having some mana rocks and a Thassa.
Yeah,
just made it.
Well, speaking of, and if it felt like we kind of ran over politics, you're right. We kind of did. We have a full episode. Just remember.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's in depth too. I think that it has a lot of the like good, tidbits there you can kind of check out.
All right. On to the next subject. When to use counterspells. which if you're not playing blue, you might not care about this section. That's fair enough. When to use interaction. If you're playing red, you usually have like red elemental blast, pyroblast. White, you have Orm's Chant and a Silence. Green, Boseiju. Like, I think most colors at this point do have some type of interaction. They might not be counter spells. We're mostly going to be talking about counter spells because honestly, most decks in the format do run blue. And I've heard from a couple people when they get into CEDH, they're just like, I'm afraid to use counter spells because I've countered somebody's setup where it's like they weren't really winning, but they played it and they were going to play Aetherworks and they were going to pass. But I used my counter on that, and then the next person went and they won, and the table looked at me and they made me feel bad because I could have stopped their win, and all I countered was like some setup. Well, number one, no one should make you feel bad for using a counter because they should have had counters. But it does feel bad to hit something that you feel is going to be big bad on the next turn, and then the person in the next seat's just like, oh, well, if that counter's gone, I'm just going to try. You know?
Yeah.
So this section will be seat by seat when to use counter spells. So in seat 1, overall, I just care about wins. I'm only going to stop a win, or I'm going to use a counter spell to protect my win. In seat 1, most of what my counter spells are going to be is either protecting my win or just making sure I get to my turn.
I would say also kind of watch your priorities.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, if you're seat 1, is it a fair statement to say you're the last in priority for seat 2? And
yeah, if seat 2 tries to win, you're going to be the last person to stop them.
So, you know, even though you go first, you're last as far as the seat 2 win, and I would say watch your priority.
Yeah.
The set of priority, let that go through first. Don't just jump the gun.
Yeah, if seat 2 tries to win, don't just like get all excited and be like, I've got something to stop that. Guys, priority, cool. Like, because I've done that before, I will say. Like,
yeah, I mean, we've all been there. We've all been like, I got a counter for that. And then the other guy was like fiddling through and tapping mana, and they were like, oh, well, that's great.
Okay, I passed then. Yeah. Because that counter, when you do that, that person that was going to counter now has a counter for you when you could have used your counter to protect your turn. So.
Yeah, for sure. I would say, yeah, the stopping the wins or protect your win or your big pieces. So, like, let's say you're going to drop out a Smothering Tithe. A Smothering Tithe might be worth, you know, countering somebody's counter.
I'll let him eat the Smothering Tithe.
Yeah, well, Ristic.
If it's a Ristic, then I can justify like, well, I'll use a counter here, but I'll draw more cards, and that will help me protect my win better. So like, I'm literally in those like, I'm either going to make sure I get a turn or I'm going to protect my win.
Yeah.
And Ristic does justify like, well, I do have a counter here, but if I draw 4 cards, I can protect my win better. So like, I am going to protect my win by getting the Ristic.
Also, not all counter spells are necessarily created equal.
Yeah.
I mean, a Force of Will is probably like the best tier.
Yeah, if somebody swan songs my Ristic setting and I have a mental misstep, I'm gonna pop that every time.
Every time. But
if somebody like, if all I have is a Ristic and somebody swan songs it and I have a Force of Will, might not use the Force of Will. I might just be like, yeah, you got it. Like,
yeah, but I mean, your big value plays in seat 1, you want to stay ahead in value and keep the lead. You want to be like the rabbit and the tortoise and the hare, but it just never stopping just as much as you can.
There's been times where I've played a Notion Thief in seat 1 and I've stopped people from removing it twice. And then they're like, why are you defending that Notion Thief so much? And I'm like, because I get to draw and you guys don't. That's why. Like, you know, like, I'm going to win if this thing stays on the board. It's like, if all I do is protect it, and then I get to my turn and I have a windfall, I win. You know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What about seat 2 or 3? How do you feel about using counter spells in those seats?
I would mostly try to stop uh, the player before me's wins.
Yeah.
The one after me, I mean, you're last in priority at that point. So if I'm seat 2, seat 3 is going for a win, I'm really just going to wait. Like, let's see what, 4-1 have before I start doing anything, And then, again, you always want to be mindful of your big values. By no means do I think that you should go 4 counters deep on a smothering or a Ristic, but maybe if you have like a one drop counter, might be worth it.
Yeah, if I'm on seat 2 or 3 and seat 1's trying to resolve a smothering tithe or a Ristic and I have a counter, I'm probably gonna pop that counter on that. Like, because it's like, yeah, I need to stop. I need to stop big value, because if I don't stop this, I'm not gonna be able to try my win. Like, they're gonna go so far ahead that I won't even be a win won't even be the glimmer in my eye, and then they'll attempt. You know.
I would also argue it depends on your win. If you're going breach win, that casts a lot of spells. So something like a Ristic Study can stop your win.
Yeah.
Seemingly not initially.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know the proper word for that, but like it can eventually. So if I go for a breach line and I draw you 6 cards, I have to assume you've drawn a silence or something, some kind of counter that's just waiting on me for the weakest point of my combo.
Yeah, I can't just push a win. At that point, like, I literally have to play and just really hope you don't draw into a counter spell. Like, my win is hindered now. Yeah.
And I've also been that guy that's watching this Ristic Study about to hit and me think to myself, it's time to switch my route of no longer am I going to go for Underworld Breach. We're in Thassa line now.
Yeah.
And I mean, Thassa draws you 2 cards.
Yeah.
Whereas Breach can be, 15.
Well, realistically, too, you could pay for Thassa. You could go, Thassa is now a 5-cost combo, because it's going to be 3 total for Thassa and 2 total for Demonic Consultation. So, like, that's not unobtainable. I can pay that. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to ensure your win with no additional counters to be drawn.
Yeah. I will say in seat 2 or 3, I do think about keeping my counters mostly for my wins, but I do consider stopping big value in those seats, because I'm like, yeah, I would really, really like this counter to try to protect my Thassa win on my next turn, but like, I'm not gonna get a next turn if this resolves. Or like you were saying with Ristic Study, where it's like, well, I could definitely Underworld Breach combo on my next turn, but like, I'm not going to if there's a Ristic Study. Like, I know I'm just going to hand the game over to somebody else with how that's going to happen. So, unfortunately, like, it's either I don't win or I counter this and then I can try to win.
Also, be aware of where you're at in priority. And most people, if you're not showing that you have a counter, will use their counter before you.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to priority to get back to the player and the player just win.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody uses a pact, before your priority, the chances of them having another counter probably low.
Yeah. And this is going to be kind of like a side conversation, but it's relevant. One of my biggest things was figuring out what to say to people when they asked me if I had a counter. Like when I first started CDH, because like seat 2 would have a counter and they'd just be like, well, I don't want to use the counter. I want to protect my own win. And they'd look at seat 3 and be like, do you have a counter? And seat 3 would say no. And then they'd look at me, and I'm somebody that I won't lie to you. And I would feel awkward because I'd be like, I do have a counter, but like, I don't really want to use it because I know if I use it here, we just pass and then this person tries to win and like protected. So usually what I would do is if someone was like, do you have a counter? I learned that my answer being, you should really do what you have, what you can, you know, what was a big difference in my career, because like people would try to sandbag, they would try to hold priority and sandbag. And then if they were like, hey, do you have a counter? There'd be times where I'd be like, yeah, but I'd really rather not use it. And then they'd be like, well, I'm not going to use mine, and then pass. And then I'd be like, well, now I got penalized for being honest, you know? But now I'll just be like, hey man, like you're first in priority. You should really do what you can. Like, I probably wouldn't counter this if it came to me. And then that way, like, you're not lying to somebody and you're being honest. Cause it's like, well, I mean, if it comes to me, I might just let it go through, and if we lose, we lose. You know, it's better for me to take a gamble on this than just use my interaction and then pass to you, where now you can try to win. You have a counter backup, and I'm one counter down. And also, you now know that seat 3 doesn't have a counter because they didn't pitch in, and you know that seat 1 doesn't have a counter because they got stopped. So now you're looking at your deck and you're like, I can just win.
Yeah, I can do that now.
So usually just telling people like, hey, you know, you should really do what you can. Like, I don't think I'm really going to be too much help here. And it's like, I don't think I'm going to be too much help here. Again, not a lie, because really, like, I don't want to help, you know, like,
or you could be like, I might be able to back it up.
yeah.
That could mean many things.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like, I'm not going to help out here, but if you need backup, that's whenever I would consider jumping in. Like, getting people to use their counter spells is really good for you. Don't just use yours, you know.
Well, it defaults the player that's asking to, maybe it's a Flusterstorm, or maybe it's a offer.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a solid card they're trying to put out, like a creature.
Yeah.
There's only a few creature counters that are used.
And also, if it's a pact, people are going to tell you it's a pact. Like
Yeah.
People will be like, hey, you know, can you help out? And it's like, I don't really think I'm going to be much help here. It's like, tell you what, man, I've got a pact. I would offer a tie if I had to use this. So if you have a counter, maybe you should use it, because if not, you're not getting another turn. It's either going to be a tie or this person wins right now.
Yeah, right then, yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, that does kind of change my answer a little bit. Yeah, I have one. You know, like,
yeah, it's like, oh, well, I found this one in my hand.
Yeah. And that answer to me is going to be like, I didn't really want to use this, but if you show me the pact, I would consider jumping in. And then I'd be like, okay, I see that you have the pact. Cool. I'll jump in. I do expect you to use the pact to back it up, though. You know, and at that point, I will agree to a draw. That helps a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't. Talking about it usually makes it a little better.
Yeah.
Because if you just assume things, that's when you get got, I guess.
I mean, if the next person is asking if you have a counter, for the most part, you're going to get got if you say yes.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm a big proponent of I won't lie to people, and it was really awkward for me because I was like, I assume that that's a yes or no answer, and my brain would be like, well, you got to tell them yes, you know. And whenever I realized, I was like, it's an open-ended question, I could just tell them they should do what they can, you know. And then if we want to talk more about that after, I'd be willing to give a little bit more information, but blank answer is just going to be like, I really think you should do what you can, man. I'm in seat 4. I don't care if.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm in seat 4. Like, missed a land drop. You know,
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm not winning this game if I counter this spell. I'm not winning the game if I do counter the spell.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my outcome.
Yeah, the outcome is the same. The only difference is this person wins instead of
Yeah.
me.
The only time I would counter this is if I put the counter on the stack and everyone agreed to draw, because like that's all I'm hoping for right now.
For sure.
And that goes to seat 4. When does seat 4 use counter spells? Your seat 4, you can do whatever the heck you want, man. Like, for the most part, if I'm in seat 4, I am looking at my hand and I'm just not going to counter anything. The only time that I'm going to counter something is if I'm trying to force a draw, or if it's very clear to me, if I counter this thing for this person, they go from almost winning the game to being so far out of it that all of us have a chance, Like if somebody, for example, they have a big commander and they crack their LED and they discard their hand to get their commander out. Especially if it's a Tali and I have a creature counter, I'm gonna wait till my priority. I'm gonna pretend like I don't have anything, and then I'll be like, hey, seat 2's not really doing much. Seat 3's not really doing much. I'm comfortable using a force of will here. Now you went from a winning position to like you're out of it. And if they're like, well, I can't help anymore, it's like, you're a Tali, you're red and green. What were you gonna do? Like,
Yeah, no.
like, it's like, really all I can really count on you is red elemental blasts and Bosage you, and like, I'm not stopping you as long as you have a mana on the field. I'm not stopping you from doing that still. Like,
Yeah, there's no substantial help there.
Yeah.
Usually your monocolored decks, aside from blue, don't really do a whole lot of help.
Yeah.
Your colors outside of blue, not so much. Really outside of blue and white.
Well, also worst case, like let's say Atali has a red elemental blast and someone tries to Thassa combo, they'll put the red elemental blast on the stack and be like, hey, I would say we should tie here. I'm out of the game. I can counter it, but there's no reason for me to counter this unless we all agree to a tie. Then it's like, cool, I'm in seat 4. That's what I've been trying to do anyway.
Well, I could have done that when we started.
Yeah, that sounds great. I could have saved us all an hour. Yeah, seat 4 is like, do whatever you want. Like, I would not just, counter things for the lulz in a tournament, clearly, but like anything that you can justify as a counter really should be value oriented, where you're like, I could force of will this Atali, but then I just hand it over to seat 2. Most of my counters in seat 4, I'm going to try to offer a draw if I don't have a win on the next turn. So like if Atali came out, I'd be like, hey guys, I've got a force of will. Like if I'm the last in priority, I'll be like, I have a force of will. I'll use it on Atali. Atali, do you want to draw? And if they're like, no, then I'm just like,
continue.
Okay, well, seat 2, would you draw? Would you be willing to draw? And they're like, yeah. Seat 3, would you be willing to draw? And then they're like, no. I'm like, cool, you can handle it. I pass. Like if every single person but the person in seat 1 is open to draw, because I've seen a lot of people try to test it where they're like, no. And then they think if they say no, that you won't cast it and they'll just do whatever they want. I'll get to there and I'll be like, hey, so these guys aren't winning. They want to draw. I want to draw. You're the only one that doesn't want to draw. So I'm gonna force a will this Atali. You still don't want to draw. Like I'm putting it on the stack. You don't want to draw. And then they're like, no, I can recover. And it's like, okay, fair. If you can recover, you can recover. But I usually, if someone does kind of try to call my bluff and I counter it, usually at that point, we'll go a turn rotation and the person will see how like actually like out of it they are. And then they'll be like, hey, I'd like to reconsider the tie. And if seat 2 and 3 and you don't have a win on your next turn, most people are going to be like, yeah, like, but then the person that is like, yeah, no, I don't want to tie anymore. It's like, okay, well, you need to save your stuff for them now.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. This is going to be a little bit of a departure from the current format, but This is an idea that we had someone ask us, and they were like, I want to know when to interact with each commander. Like, how do I stop Sisay? How do I stop this commander? And we had talked about it. I think that will be an episode that we at some point tackle. But it would be a full episode, and it wouldn't really it wouldn't be so like if you teach somebody to fish, they'll be able to feed themselves, you know. But if we just tell you like this is when you stop Sisay, this is when you stop this, that's not always right. And then on top of it, if a set comes out and that deck changes, which Sisay has gone from like planeswalkers to creatures to back to planeswalkers, that information is no longer relevant. So like if I was listening to a podcast a year ago about how to stop Sisay or how to stop Kennen would be the scariest deck in the format. You know?
Yeah, there's no telling.
We'd be talking about like you need to put board wipes in your deck for Kennen and Winota and you know all of that, and that's not really the case anymore. So that I mean that is something that at some point we might do, but most of the time when we're putting out information, I really want to keep the information somewhat like evergreen, just because people do go through our back catalog and it's like, hey, you know, you guys don't know what you're saying. Like a year ago, you said like this is how you stop Sisay, and you know I took that to heart. I've been listening to you guys, and I went against Sensei, and that didn't help at all. And it's like, well, I mean that was from 2024, you know.
Yeah, 7 sets came out since then.
Yeah, but I think just kind of in general going over what each color does helps, because I was trying to think of like how do we make that type of information, but still
Be relevant. Yeah, I'm with you.
And it's one of those things that like I don't really realize it, but like I'll look at commanders and be like, how do they win? And it's not really the commander I'm looking at, it's the color combination that I'm looking at. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is Jeskai. Like clearly they're winning with Underworld Breach. Like there's not many other things that they're going to do. Like if the commander itself in the command zone doesn't win them the game, it's going to be Underworld Breach. You know?
Yeah.
So we're going to go over just the main colors, the 5 main colors, not, you know, the color combinations or anything else. And this all does come with a disclaimer of like, make sure you know every single amount of text on the commander, because there might be, you know, mono red commanders. Like Magda is a good example that probably isn't winning with Underworld Breach. So like, you know, that's,
oh yeah.
So just keep in mind what each one does, but we might do like a meta counter episode in the future, but in general, I wanted to go over what each color does. So we'll start with green. So what green does is it builds their board. Green is gonna try to build their board up pretty fast, mostly with creatures. Green usually is just trying to build, and they can get really out of control really quickly. So you got to make sure that you keep trimming green, because you might see, okay, they played a turn 1 Dryad Arbor, they played a Rograk, and then they played a Lotus Petal, and they got out a Elvish Spirit Guide, you know, or not Elvish Spirit Guide, a Elvish Mystic. That's 3 creatures. It's a land that doesn't even tap. They're all 1/1s, like whatever. And then on their second turn, they play Gaia's Cradle, and then it's like, okay, well, they went from no mana on turn 1 basically to 5 mana, because they have 3 creatures, they have a Dryad Arbor, and they have a Elfish Mystic that taps. 5 mana is a lot. You know what 5 mana drops? A Seedborn Muse turn 2. You know, like,
or infinite mana. That's,
yeah,
that goes infinite mana through like creatures and Gaias.
Yeah.
And if something like that happens, it's really hard to stop a win when somebody has infinite mana.
Yeah. A lot of, not a lot, but a good amount of counters in the meta are like Flusterstorm, Daze, Miscast, other things where it's like, well, if you have a bunch of mana, most of my counters that aren't like my best counters in my deck, like I can't even use them on you, you know? So whenever I play green, I really watch their board, and if they're really building creatures fast, like you'd be surprised. Like for example, like Rocco, there's been times where I've seen that deck played, and they have a land, and then they drop a mana dork, and then on their next turn, they're doing pretty big stuff, and I'm just like, how have they gone through 3 turns of this game with 1 land, and then like I'm worried about them. You know, like they're doing a lot with 1 land. I mean, also too, another thing that you have to consider is if my first turn is, like I said, like land, dryad, Rograk, Elvish Mystic, all of a sudden I drop a Guy's Cradle, I tap just my land for turn for a food chain. Now I've got a mana with Dryad Arbor, a mana with Rograth, and 2 mana. I can drop a 4-cost creature, and I still have food chain. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy town.
Yeah,
It kind of multiplies like gremlins.
yeah. Just with staying on the build with creatures, just make sure that you're understanding of what green's doing. Don't let them just build unchecked. Like kind of treat them like a plant that, you know, when I have a house plant, that plant can grow so much, but if it starts growing out of its zone, or like trying to grow on my walls, I'm probably going to trim it. You know, how do you trim it usually with Bowmaster. I'll see a lot of those decks, especially with green. They kind of take the like more casual mindset of like, guys, all I want to do is drop mana dorks, and you guys are just, you know, clipping my mana dorks. Like, you Bowmastered and you took out my mana dork, but you know the Esper Sentinel's fine. Like, what's going on there? And like they'll start trying to deflect. And it's like, this deck doesn't lay a land that gets 3 mana because there's an Esper Sentinel out. You know, it's like Esper Sentinel continues to draw me cards. They can't choose not to draw. Like, you know, it's like if I left you unchecked, you'd win. And they're like, well, yeah, I was gonna win this turn, but now I can't. And, you know, now this person, they have an Esper Sentinel, they might win. It's like, no, nice try. Like, I will say with green, I usually try to keep them at like 3 creatures at max. And then if they start to get more, then, you know, 4 or 5 is where you really have to worry about it, where you're like, okay, this guy's Cradle is going to tap for way too much. Like, they're going to go infinite because really they just have to get like an Emil. They have to get a E-Witness Snap combo. You know, it's really easy to win with Boseiju and 4 or 5. Or not Boseiju, Guy's Cradle and 4 or 5 creatures.
I mean, and just what if you're looking at a deck and it has green in it, it does bring Boseiju to the table, which is one of the best removal spells.
Because it's a channel ability.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can deal with it. The
Boseiju also goes through Grand Abolisher for Underworld Breach.
For sure.
Yeah, which is crazy. I've seen some people start to be like, I have Grand Abolisher, I've got Underworld Breach, I'll show you Lion's Eye, I'll show you this. I win, right? I've got every counter in my deck, and it's like, play it out. Cool. On that first cast, Boseiju, your Underworld Breach. They're like, well, I have counters. It's like, it's a channel. So, you know,
too bad.
If you're gonna win, you have to win at instant speed right now, or it's gone. And they're like, oh man, you stopped me through a Grand Abolisher. You know?
And it's a good position to be in when you're that Boseiju player, because if they're that far into it, they didn't think about it at all.
Yeah.
I would also say, you know, of course, green has a few tutors.
Yeah.
Concordant, Court of Calling.
Oh, tutors to field. Yeah.
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 Court of Calling, Nature's Rhythm.
Green Sun. Concordant. No, not Concordant Crossroads. The Convoke one.
Court of Calling.
Court of Calling, yeah.
Worldly.
Poop Dinosaurs. Finale of Devastation.
Finale and What's the battle?
Eldritch Evolution.
Yeah, there's
The battle you don't really see as much, but I mean it's still there. It's because the battle is 2 green and it gets a non-human, where now we have a sorcery that actually like just goes and gets whatever you want for 2 green.
yeah. I mean, they go to field, most of them, or to top of deck.
Yeah, and like really for me, the tutor to field is the scariest because like I'll see somebody tap out for like 4, and then they're like, I'm just gonna go get a 2-cost creature, and I'm like, cool. And then they're like Grand Abolisher, and I'm like, oh, I have a response to Grand Abolisher. It's like, no,
Too bad.
it's there. It's you do not get to say anything else for the rest of the game. Like
Yeah,
or for the rest of my turn.
or with I've seen Thassa sneak in that way
Yeah.
too.
I've snuck in oof where I've just been like, hey, I'm gonna cast this for 2, and then they're like, okay, cool, whatever. And I get oof, and they're like, oh, okay, well, oof on the stack. I'm gonna tap on my mana rocks. It's like he's not on the stack. He's put to field, and they're like, well, I have a response to the put. It's like if he has no ETB, he's just there. I have priority. I'm gonna cast my next spell. You know,
Yeah,
like,
there's no stopping that part of it.
yeah, it's sneaky. I've seen quite a few, like you were saying with Grand Abolish, or not Grand Abolisher, Thassa. I've seen somebody tap a Mandork for green, tap a land, not Eldritch Evolution, Neoform their Mana Dork into Thassa, and then they're just like Thassa ETB, and I'm just like, I have a red Elemental Blast, but killing Thassa doesn't do anything here, so you know.
Yeah, it's done. It's went through.
It's like you snuck it out, you know, GG.
Yeah, anytime you can do a counter, or anytime you can do a put to field, it's always better than just casting it outright. Usually up to like 2 to 3 mana. I think any more than that, it's kind of diminishing returns. But
Yeah, I will say with green, and I catch myself here sometimes too. When someone tutors to field, if it's resolving, tap your mana rocks. If you think they have an oof, like if you feel like they're just gonna go get a Grand Abolisher, don't think that you have any say after it resolves. Like you can't just be like, well, I'll just see if they go get a Grand Abolisher, and then if they do, then I'll just dump what I have. It's like no,
Too
it's
late then.
yeah, it's too late then. Yeah, like I mean, green in general just has a lot of puts. Like Kodama does that. More casual cards do that, where it's not as big of a thing. But I mean, like the amount of good X tutors that green has now that are straight to field. Like I've even seen people like, you know, even today we were playing and somebody was like, "Hey, I cast this spell. I go get four creatures. You choose 2 for me to put to field, and then 2 that go to my graveyard." And you're like, oh well, I don't think you'll be able to cast this, like this one. It's like, oh no, they're on field now. It's like, oh okay, my bad. You know, like,
didn't read it all the way.
yeah,
Yep, that was me. I did
yeah.
that.
But I mean, like green is sneaky. Like put is really strong because it's just like I'm gonna go get whatever I want, and if you want to stop it, great. If you don't, I'm gonna go get whatever I want, and it's just happening. You know?
It's too late by the time the spell resolves.
And the other thing that green you kind of have to keep in mind is most green decks lands matter. So like everybody knows what Guy's Cradle is. Everybody knows what Guy's Cradle does. Hopefully, I mean you do if you listen to this podcast, but they're lands where it's like, you know, this land, I play it, it comes in untapped if I have a forest, and I pay 4 mana, and then it just becomes something that's in my graveyard, any permanent in my graveyard. Most of the green lands,
Is that shifting woodland?
shifting woodlands, yeah. A lot of the green lands will do something, and you want to be able to know, like let's say, you know, you put out an op agent, and I'm currently searching for a creature. On top of the search, someone drops an op agent. Green could be like, I guess I'll just crop rotation. And if you're not thinking about it, you could be like, yeah, whatever. Like, just go get your guy's cradle. And then all of a sudden they play Talon Gates, and they're like, I'm going to phase out that op agent. I'm good to search still. You know, like, and then we're not even talking about Lumara, where it's like every land in that deck, there's like 40 lands, and they all do something.
Yeah, it's Bear.
Yeah.
Big bear.
Yeah. I would say in green, if they play a land and you don't know what it does, ask to read it. You know, like,
Yeah, especially if it's not tapping for like green or something.
yeah, like if it's a colorless land, like Talon Gates is a really good one where like the first time somebody ever crop rotationed on top of something, and I was like, yeah, go get Guy's Cradle. Like, what do I care? You're just gonna e-witness something, and then I'm like, oh, they just phased out my op agent. That's really bad for us. Like, did you want to add anything about green?
I would say right now some of the big decks in the format really center around Gaia's Cradle. That's why
Yeah,
we've mentioned it quite a few times. Um, Gaia's adds a lot to a deck with multiple colors, especially if it's creature heavy,
yeah,
because then your creatures tap for, well, they don't tap for mana, but they are now essentially mana to your land, which doesn't seem like much, but once you get to a certain point, it could be infinite mana at like 4 or 5 or something
yeah.
like that. So just Beseiju, really the lands and then the tutors and like the dorks are really where green's at.
For me, green is kind of scary because like the amount of mana that they can generate, they kind of don't care if their pieces get stopped. So like in Hashaton, I'll play a sheriff deck where I'm like, I gotta stop that. And a lot of the time, whenever I'm playing those big mana decks, they're like, cool, I'll do this for 3 mana. And I'm like, oh man, I really don't want you to have a wrist stick. I'll counter it. And then they're like, cool. Well, I guess I'll just play this Smothering Tithe instead. And I'm like, oh, I don't want you to have that either. But
I guess we're here.
I can't counter a Ristic and a Smothering Tithe in the same turn, you know? The one thing I will say that I kind of didn't realize until recently is Boseiju does destroy a non-basic land.
Yeah, it'll hit a guy's.
Yeah, so Guy's Cradle, I was always like, man, Guy's Cradle is stupid because like I'm not going to run a strip mine just to hope that I can get rid of a Guy's Cradle. And then a lot of those cards that untap a target permanent, I don't realize that they untap Guy's Cradle either. So one of the things that I've been doing is specifically with Boseiju, if I have a Boseiju and somebody plays a Ristic, I might kind of just look around at the table and be like, ooh, yeah, I don't want them to have a Ristic, but like if I kill their Ristic with a Boseiju, they go mana ramp. But this person is probably going to do a Gaia's Cradle loop, and if they target their Gaia's Cradle for an untap and then I destroy the Gaia's Cradle, they're just done. They just pass the turn. Like that's the only way that we can get rid of this Gaia's Cradle. And like there's so many ways to lift a Ristic Study or destroy a Ristic Study. Like maybe the Boseiju is better for the more specialized job of like taking out a Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah, lands are a lot harder to deal with than other permanents anyway. So
Yeah, I mean as they should be. It would be miserable to constantly get your lands wiped out. I think we've all played one of those casual decks where someone's like, I'm going to destroy your lands." It's like, you're a terrible person. I see why this table was empty. I'm going to get up and you can wait for another victim. Goodbye. Let's move on to red. So what red does is it go fast. Red really no care if you have counters. Red go fast. Like
yeah, it just keeps running.
yeah.
I mean, you go ahead.
Yeah, red is usually really fast one turn mana where it's just like they kind of explode. I mean, I think we've all gone against an Atali and just been like, I don't really think they have an Atali. They just have 3 mana, and then all of a sudden they're just like, I have 8 mana, and it's like, oh no, I have a daze in my hand. They can pay for the daze. Like this is not good. Just really explosive temporary turns, but usually like those explosive turns. While you do think mana ramping is temporary, I mean, if I mana ramp into an Atali, that Atali and the triggers stay around. If I mana ramp into a Relic of Legends turn 1 and I play a Rograk, like I've got 2 mana now. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. I mean, red has wheel, like the best wheel in the format. Like you can burn through your entire hand, ritual up, and then all of a sudden be like, I'm gonna cast a Wheel of Fortune. I have 1 card in hand. I don't really care. I'm gonna get 7 more pass.
I mean, Ragavan's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a really solid turn one. Steals a little bit, creates a treasure.
I have a story about Ragavan. I'll let you go, but
Gamble.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot that red offers. I'll let you do your story about Ragavan.
Yeah, so I we'll go through this, but spoiler alert, I got ninth in a pretty big tournament, and I went to the finals, and someone played a Ragavan and a City of Traders and passed. And then they got to their next turn, played a Lotus Petal, and just went, the blue-black deck is open. I'll just hit them. Exiled an Adnaz, and they had just enough mana to cast the Adnaz. Cast the Adnaz, won the game turn 2 because of Ragavan. They didn't have a land for turns, so they Adnazed into full Thassa combo, a land, enough rocks to get the combo, and then all of the counter spells they needed to back it up. And I was just like, okay, I was actually thinking about cutting Ragavan because so many people drop 1-drop creatures, but I mean, I literally just watched somebody win a top 10 with just on turn 2, just a lucky Ragavan trigger.
Yeah, Ragavan's one of those unsungs too. Like, I would say value your Ragavan, but not overvalue it, because there's times where trading Ragavan for a what's the Esper Sentinel, like, it might be worth it.
And then on the other side, with your luck, you hit the top of my deck with your Ragavan, exiled a squee that you could cast, and I was like, oh, you basically just drew me a card. And then I had a sack land that I sacked on my end step, surveilled, and normally I have a pretty good poker face, and I surveilled, and the top card was Food Chain after I shuffled, and I was just like, all right, yeah, thank you, deck. Like you guys are about to see something. Like,
as far as red goes too, it has one of the, I would say, the second most reliable win con. Underworld Breach is, as long as it's paired with, blue and really just blue.
yeah,
It can do, breach line.
you can mono red breach line. It's not as easy, but it's
Is that
LED
the
grinding station.
grinding station?
Yeah. But the one thing that I was gonna say about Underworld Breach, you use it more, but the one thing that I wanted to say is we've brought up wheels, we've brought up gambles, we brought up rituals. Where do all of those go? Gamble discards a card. Wheel discards 7 cards. Rituals, temporary mana to do stuff. Where do those go? The graveyard. Red, for the most part, puts a lot of cards in your graveyard, which you wouldn't expect. Usually you think that's like a black, like maybe green thing. But red just like sends away cards, and then all of a sudden you're like, they've been doing a lot of nothing. Like, they've got some, they're ahead of us, but like we've not really seen a win con. And then they're like, Underworld Breach, cool. All of that stuff, all of those wheels, they built towards my win con. You're like, oh no.
It's like, yeah, that's it.
But I mean, you're more of the red player for Underworld Breach, so you can go ahead with that.
Breach is one of those things that early game, usually not your best win con. Turn 3 or 4, depending on how hard you're going, turn 2 and 1, could be a win. I don't know specifically, mainly because my brain's a little fried from playing earlier, but the exact number of cards you would need to start a breach line.
Usually around 9 is where I start to worry. I've seen people do it with like 7 or 8, depending on how big their hand was. Whenever they like had a lion's eye diamond, it's one of those things where like I'll be like, "There's no way that you can do it." Yeah, I'll let it resolve, and then like they have just enough, and I'm like, "Well, that wouldn't have worked if I tried it, but you know.
I would I would say if you can cast Brain Freeze with a couple of copies,
Yeah,
you've
if you
probably
can
got it.
storm off Brain Freeze twice. So
Yeah.
if you can, basically if you can play Underworld Breach, play LED, and then follow it up with Brain Freeze, you're kind of in the clear. If no one's interacting with you, you know.
And then if you get 2 additional spells with that, I would say you've pretty much got it. Like
Yeah,
there's no stopping it.
yeah. I would say it's probably the best win con in the format, just because like it's really hard to deal with Storm, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I can for sure counter this Brain Freeze, but like it'll just go back to the graveyard and there's 4 copies on the stack. Like, unless you're exiling it or you're exiling the stack, it kind of doesn't matter too much what interaction you have. Like,
Well, yeah, because you let the storm trigger hit all go on the stack. You
yeah,
can mind break then.
yeah,
It's just a really solid win. It opens up wins that may have been gone previously. So let's say you cast Thassa, it got countered. For whatever reason, they didn't hit your consultation or whatever, and you breach. Maybe you only need 2 LEDs to, or 1 LED and then a black mana to Thassa again.
yeah.
You know, it's just a solid win.
You'd also be surprised how I used to run Graveyard Hate, where I was like, it's important to send graveyards away. But as the format has gotten faster, and I've needed to be faster, I'm like, that's the first thing to go. Like, if it's not winning the game for me, I don't care. Like, you know, like someone needed to stop them before that. Yeah,
Yeah, we're just here. Or exile it.
yeah,
It red adds a level of speed and consistency to a win line. If you pair it with white and blue, I mean, you have the makings of a really easy, consistent win line.
I mean, I ran Underworld Breach in Atali just as, okay, all of my token makers I have access to again, all of my copy spells, you know, like,
And really, Atali only needs 1 or 2 copies to get
yeah,
cooking.
yeah. Like, there are definitely decks where like I'm not doing Underworld combo, but I definitely am valuing Underworld Breach. You know?
I've never, anytime I try to value a breach, it doesn't work out real well.
Yeah,
I mean, wait an extra card and then just go for a win.
I would say with Foundations, now that there's the make a copy of a creature and then it has flashback, I probably wouldn't value Breach in Atali anymore. But it's also really cool to like ritual up, and then let's say somebody stops your Atali, then you're like, dang. And then you play Underworld Breach and you're like, I can ritual up again. You know, they're all there. They're in my hand. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
it gives some resiliency to your attempts somewhat.
yeah, speed for sure.
Yeah. What about black? You're kind of the black aficionado here. Like,
Black is, I would say in tiers of colors, black has to be in the top 3, if not the top. Blue is good, but blue's hard to win without black. And if you're just going deck for deck, monocolors, I think that mono black can stand with the top of them.
my new black, my new deck. Don't run black. Don't run blue. It's still really good.
Yeah, I mean, you lean hard into the green and the red though.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then the white for like, I just don't care if you interact with me here.
yeah,
You know,
it doesn't
like,
matter
yeah,
anymore.
Yeah.
But black gives a lot of, I don't want to say to hand tutors, but
Consistency. Yeah.
you can't see what I'm tutoring.
Yeah.
And the level of, or the lack thereof of information really helps.
To me, it's crazy. And this is not just playing, this is in tournaments where somebody will tutor Imperial Seal tutor on their first turn, and everybody's like, yeah, whatever. And then they'll tutor again, and I have to be like, hey guys, this is the second tutor that they've done. And then they're like, well, I mean, the first one they could have just got like a command tower. I was just like, they did not get a command tower. Like it's like they have tutored twice. They have Thassa combo, and then everybody would be like, I mean, they seem like they were behind, blah blah blah, and they just kind of brush it off. And I'm just like, guys, if a deck tutors twice, like expect a win con, like expect them to try. And a lot of people will just be like, no, I mean, we didn't see it. Or like they'll just straight up forget that you Imperial Sealed turn one. And I'm just like, guys, like notate that down in your head.
Yeah.
Like,
It's solid.
yeah.
I mean, be it demonic tutor or
Vamp tutor,
vamp tutor. I mean, there's 4 for sure.
Demonic consultation,
Yeah.
beseech the mirror. Like, yeah.
Those tutors give, I would almost say that they're like minusing cards from your deck because you need other cards.
Yeah.
They're essentially 3 additional underworld breaches if you need them.
I mean, imagine if Ponder just said, draw any card you want out of your deck, put it to your hand, or like put it on top. Like everybody'd be like, that's busted. And it's like, that's literally like in a format, you don't really see tutors as much as in 60 cards because you can draw 4. You can have 4 of each card in your deck's a lot smaller. But like when your deck is 100 cards and you go and you're like, I have a 1% chance to draw this card, let me force it to my hand. That's insane. Like,
Yeah, and then you're looking at,
and then you don't have to tell people what that card is on top of it. Like,
yeah, it could be any card or the one you need.
yeah. And a lot of the time, I mean, not a lot of the times, all the times, it's anything. It can be a land, it can be a rock, it can be a guy's cradle, it can be, Thassa.
Value.
It can be
Heuristic.
let's say you have Thassa. It can be a tutor. It's like it can be a pact to back up your Thassa. Like,
I mean, one of my favorite interactions with a black tutor is cast Thassas, pay 1 for Thassa ETB. I'm sorry, pay 1 or play Thassa, ETB, tap Wishclaw, get consultation,
yeah.
play it immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's instant.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I mean, it's like
The only restriction to Wishclaw is you can only use it on your turn, but it does not say it's sorcery speed.
Yeah,
and a lot of people assume that, but you can use it on your turn at any point on the stack. So like there have been games where I was just like, I don't really have a counter spell, but I have a Wishclaw, and I'd toss a combo, and everybody would just be like, oh, I'm gonna counter that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, now this is go get any. For a colorless, go get any counter in your deck. Here, I'm gonna go get it packed.
Yeah, packed it. It's silly town.
Yeah.
Like the new, well, it's not really new now, but Demonic Council, just so good.
If you are running a deck that cares about a demon for your combo, which like Hashaton, Razaketh, like if it gets to my hand, I go get Razaketh, I'm happy. I go get anything else, I'm happy. Like,
I mean, the is it Delirium?
yeah, Delirium is 4 card types, which I mean, if you've played a land and your Esper Sentinel has been popped by a Bowmaster, that's 3 right there and 2 cards. Like a sack land.
Yeah,
And it's like at that point you're just like, okay,
the sorcery.
a sorcery, an instant, I'm good now.
Yeah, it's crazy how easy it is to turn it on. Also mixed with like red, you throw a lot of cards in grave.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
The other thing that I think is kind of crazy about black is like black has better rituals than red, because Rite of Flame is 1 and it gives you 2. Black has a 1 cost ritual, dark ritual, that gives you 3, and it's like, I thought that was what red was supposed to do the best. They're like, no, that's what black does. And it's like, there are 3 playable black rituals in CDH alone, like Cabal Ritual, Dark Ritual, and then the one that you sack a creature for.
Culling.
Yeah,
Culling the Wheel.
Culling gives you 4 mana.
It-
Like, it's
which-
crazy.
Which, if you play Adnos,
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You don't normally you don't cast Adnos for 5. You
Yeah.
have 3 black mana, and then you cast a Dark Ritual and hit Adnos.
Well, it's crazy because you can turn 1 command tower birds, turn 2 drop a land, tap birds for the black for Cabal Ritual, get 4, tap your land, get 5, play Adnos, and then you have your command tower as backup for a counter on turn 2. And it's like, who did this? Who decided that black also was going to get mana rituals? Yeah.
And going into, I don't know if you would call it maybe card advantage. It has some of the best card advantage cards
Yeah.
printed.
Yeah.
I mean, Adnos
wins games.
went immediately.
Yeah.
I would argue, just if you've ever played with me, I have the worst time with Necropotence.
I've cut it. Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
I have seen that the masters, so to speak, show me how it's supposed to be done.
Doesn't work like that for me. Yeah.
I get it. I get in this, and it's like no training wheels. I'm just falling out of the side of the road. It's pretty bad.
What's funny because like we've won tournaments and like I think I've got about like 2,000 in winnings under my belt for this last year, maybe year and a half. You've got probably closer to 1,000, like counting like all the store credit and everything like that. And it's like I'm not good enough for that card. Like it does not like me.
It's same to the people, which I hate you, not really, but
I do.
if you're like, oh, let me consultation for this piece, and it's your 7th card, I'm not your friend.
I'm gonna let's drop an F-bomb on this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, still
family friendly. Yeah.
We still love y'all, but no.
You.
No. Really turning your life into cards is where that's at. It does it the best.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Black is really powerful played correctly. Like ad nause, of course, you have to set your deck up to go, I'm going to have my deck have really low CMC because I'm going to ad nause and win. So you commit to a playstyle with ad nause. Necropotence, you just commit to a playstyle that's I don't care about my graveyard. Yeah.
I would argue that 2 colors, black white, black red, black green, not so good. However, like black blue, pretty good. And then if you add a 3rd color, black is really strong.
Black red, pretty strong. Like
I mean,
it's one of those. I have so much mana because that's what my deck does. That yeah, you can counter my stuff. I'm just gonna keep going. You know,
the only issue is the commander pool for that isn't super strong.
it's basically Obnix and Rakdos, Muscle
Muscle.
Daddy. Yeah, like
It doesn't go. They're strong, but you don't see them topping.
yeah. But the biggest problem is really Ristic Study because you have to take so many actions in those decks that like. I built Rakdos the Muscle and I played it for a little bit and I was like, I'm taking 30-minute turns where at no point do I know if I'm winning or not. Like I just have to trust the deck and that I'm going to win. And then like there's times where I'm like, God, I fed this Ristic a whole bunch. And then I'm like, oh, I got a Red Elemental Blast. And I pop the Ristic. And I'm like, man, but they still have a lot of cards. And then I'll get a Mind Slicer and I'll be able to sacrifice it. And I'm like, cool, Mind Slicer, everybody loses their hands. No one has a hand. I'm just going to go. You know? Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not knocking those other decks too much. I'm just saying you add black, blue, red, you're probably the top decks in the format.
I mean, it's crazy to think that like Gitrog Monster was like the scary dude of the format for a while, where it's like, oh man, Get Rock Monster's so good, and it's like, black green is not very good anymore.
I love Golgari.
Yeah, same.
I've loved Golgari from when I started playing in high school.
I have always loved white, black, green. Like Tona Kodama, my favorite deck I've ever played. I top forward with it once. I was so excited that I top forward with it. I ordered a proxy deck of my exact list at that point, and I sealed it away in my game cabinet because I was like, I want to remember the first top four deck I ever had. And there's been times where we've played and I busted it out and I was like, how did I top four with this? This thing is terrible. Like, it doesn't do anything.
It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Black gives a lot of consistency, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be my big takeaway from if you add black to whatever, or if you're thinking about adding a color to your commander list or whatever it is. But
black, blue, black, bad. Just win. Just look at your 7 cards and just figure it out. That's
Yeah.
what my new deck is.
Oh yeah.
It's like figure it out, Aaron. Did you have anything else to add about black?
I think we've hit everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the rituals we got, ad nos.
I think we've hinted at this, but really, like, life as a resource is important in black, which basically just means like, oh, I need to win quick. You know, like if I am gonna drop a ad nos, I need to have at least 30 life. Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing an uptick in mono black with Gwendolyn or
Gwenum, yeah. That's the code name for her.
Gwendolyn.
Yeah, Gwendolyn.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much like Bola Citadel on a stick, but
yeah,
I don't really think there's anything else it does. It's just solid. It's a solid color. Can you think of another card I'm missing? I think that's pretty much it. I mean,
black.
The mono black win cons are like Onyx and Chain of Smog.
Yeah, and then also tendrils if you get a high enough storm count. Like it's one of those things where like mono black's weird because the win cons are not good. Like Gray Merchant loops, not great. But because they're mono black and they can force whatever they want into their hand and on top, it's just like, yeah, I mean, Gray Merchant, it's not great. Like Bolus, Ether, Flux, and Top, those aren't great win cons, except in mono black, because I can just go get them at any point. You know?
Yeah, it's just in my deck.
For the most part, I can just pay my life to cast them. I don't care about mana. Like,
yeah, Kira Kit.
Yeah. Let's move on to blue. So blue, I think everybody kind of knows what it does, but it's our responsibility to put it into words. So number one, if I said anything else as number one with blue, I would be stoned in the street. Blue has counter spells. Really what makes CEDH is, for the most part, you cannot rely on your spells resolving 100% of the time. If you could, and it was just a race to the finish line, there would not be many commanders that you would see on tournaments. You would just be like, okay, I'm seeing Rogsai, I'm seeing this. Like, no one, everybody's just racing to the finish line. Blue is kind of what gives the format its slice of life. Counters and the fact that you never really know if your stuff is going to resolve or not is huge. That's why most CEDH decks in the format run blue, just because it's a requirement. I don't know if you've ever sat down at a table and you played blue and you were the only blue player. Miserable. That's terrible. Yeah. That is not a fun game. I've kind of learned that moving away from blue and back over and over, the games that I have the most fun with are blue. Like, it's fun to like sit there and just be like, oh, I assembled this win real quick, I win, cool, 5 points. But the games that I really feel like I've earned the wins are always with blue. So if you're the type of person that you're like, I want to have a say at what happens, I want to feel like every game I had some say at what happened and I could have done something to win, that would be the color for you. Um, there's all kinds of counters. Like you said, there's some that are better than others. Mental Misstep is really good turn one. Counters that exile the things that they counter, really good against Underworld Breach combos. Being able to defend your win, also really good. You know? Counters that are free that you can tap out and then just pitch a card to surprise somebody and be like, yeah, I'm tapped out, but Mind Break Trap. Or I'm tapped out, or, you know, Atali just got played Force of Will. Like, haha. You know? I don't really think that we need to get too far into counters. I think everybody knows it just takes your spell off the stack and it doesn't resolve.
Yeah, it doesn't get to. It's. May I play
Yeah.
this? There's not so many decks that just run a bunch of counters now. Mostly, it's a certain package you see in most blue running decks.
Yeah. Blue is kind of what has gotten me, really what taught me to be a good CDH player. And one of the things, and I haven't been doing this recently, but I should do this more to get myself in a better mindset, is every time I cast a spell, I should be like, I would like to cast an Arcane Signet. Cool, 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 cool. I would like to cast this Soul Ring with the Arcane Signet mana. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah, priority and such.
I feel like it really forces people to go like, yes, you may, or no, you may not. Yeah.
Also, if you're playing CEDH, one of the kind of things you don't forget is a big stack.
Yeah.
Like multiple spells, countering spells, winning on top of stuff. Using the stack is where counter spells come in. You can have a good counter spell and not play it at the right time and it not make much of a difference.
I mean, I remember, and this is kind of a side note, but I remember I had Obnix built, and it was a interactive Obnix, and we had a kitchen table game one night, and I mean, some special sodas were involved, Dr. Pepper, you know, all that. But we had gotten a stack up to 10 levels of interaction. Like, we had to build the stack out in the middle of the table. And by the time we were done and started resolving, there were 10 cards on the stack. And I remember just being like, my God, I need to take a picture of this. I need to share this in every Magic Discord. And I think that was where I was like, I will never go away from CDH. You know?
It's so fun to layer it, and it's fun.
There was a mages contest in that.
Oh yeah,
where you bid life. So if I play it, I think it's mages contest where it's a 3 mana counter spell that's mono red, and each person bids life to either counter it as the person that played it or resolve it. So I can be like, all right, I want to counter your spell. I'll bid 5 life. And then you're like, I'll bid 10 life. And I'm like, cool, I'll bid 15. And you just go back and forth until someone's like, yeah, I can't pay that much. You know?
I would say it also has draws. It has the best draw engines.
Oh, yeah, like card draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, blue draws the most? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess with Pact. Like,
Ristic, Mystic, some of the best draw
Consecrated
engines.
Sphinx.
Consecrated. Consecrated's kind of expensive. It's really only in specific decks. But
it's so playable, which is surprising. Like, you don't need, if you run blue-green at all, it's kind of an auto-include. Like, Kennen plays it, Glarb does play it.
I would argue black as well, because you could reanimate it.
Yeah, or ritual it up.
But
it's just crazy that a 6-cost creature that draws 2 cards when someone draws 1 is just so insanely playable in the format.
It's the can I play this color? And CEDH, I mean, it's kind of the backbone, I would say.
I think also just with the discussion of draws, I didn't really add this in the initial conversation, but blue has the best ability to mulligan. Because, like, I will say that whenever I play blue, I kind of really don't care if I go down to 4 cards, if I can play a turn 1 Rhystic Study, or if I can turn 1 a, like, Mystic Remora or something like that. Like, I don't feel too bad being really aggressive with my mulligans when I play blue, because with blue, I'm like, yeah, I could go down to 4, but like if I have an ancient tomb, I mean, honestly, if I go down to 3 and I have an ancient tomb, a lotus petal, and then a Rhystic Study, I'm just like, I'll keep this, you know? Like,
Yeah, it's and you're in a solid position.
yeah, I mean, you almost have become the threat, you know, at this point.
Somewhat boss monster.
Yeah, and two, like a lot of people will be like, I don't really care about Ristic until they go to draw, like actually win. And like there are times where I'm like, yeah, I don't really care about Ristic, and then I'll be like, oh wait, for me to squee food chain, I can never pay for Ristic. I'm just gonna cast squee 1,000 times and put their deck in their hand. Like that's not good, you know. Like,
No, you can't really do much with that. Um, it also has a really solid win con that goes in multiple colors.
yeah,
Thassa's is love it or hate it, probably one of the most seen wins.
and it's necessary.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
We'll have to go into that another time, but just an I guess another side note, sorry, but we have a local store that has not really banned Thassa combo. They count I win cards as a single point. So in most tournaments, if you win a match, you get 5 points. Doesn't care, doesn't matter what happened. This place, they don't want people ganging up on people. So every single person at the table holds a point. And then if you win the entire thing, you get a point. So if you Thassa out, you only get your point and then the win the game point. So you get 2 points. And no one else gets any points. So someone that wins through a different combo that kills everybody, they'll get 5 points. But if you Thassa out, you only get 2 points. And what has they were like, yeah, you know, this makes sure that we have good games, blah blah blah. We don't go there anymore because when we go and play tournaments, it's all stacked decks, and most of those stacked decks don't have win cons, and they don't like when you Thassa out because they're just like, oh well, you know, no one was able to do anything, and you just had an eject button to win. That's not fair. And it's like, it's needed, because if I did not have that eject button to win and no one had to worry about it, every deck would just be a stacks deck, and that would be awful. You know, Thassa is a way to check that everybody has built their deck with enough interaction to make sure that the format is healthy. Like
I agree.
it's I will say that it does feel bad to have this really epic game where everybody's like duking it out, and then all of a sudden somebody just stumbles into Thassa and then they play it and then they're like, oh, it's over, okay. You know,
Yeah, we're good.
but it is needed, because if it was not there, everyone would just stacks the format out, and that it's awful. It's not fun.
It can't win in 80 minutes.
Yeah, it can't win in 80 minutes, and it's also a miserable 80 minutes on top of it.
It's rough.
Yeah, I mean, we just do not go to tournaments there anymore.
Not regularly at all.
Yeah. The other thing about blue that I think a lot of people kind of miss too is return to hand is really strong. I mean, it's a card that a lot of casual players don't like, but Cyclonic Rift, just to be like, hey, you know,
This is far gone.
this green deck has gotten out of control. I have to clear the field and we have to reset. Now, I'm not going to reset my stuff, of course, but if I'm paying 7 mana to resolve a spell, I need some benefit. You know?
Everybody cool?
Yeah.
It's like,
And then you're like, cool. And now that everything's in your hand, I'm going to wheel.
yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of times where it's like, you'll play and someone will drop a Drannith and you're like, man, I really can't get rid of this Drannith because I'm not in black or I'm not in white. I just need the Drannith to go away for a turn. let me just Chain of Vapor it to the hand, or like
And
into the Flood Mod to the
Yeah.
hand. And it gives you a turn to where you're like, I can try. And then if I fail, at least they can drop it again. And then it's still there for everybody else, you know? Or like, let's say there's a Rhystic Study and I'm trying to win and I have an infinite combo. I can lift the Rhystic Study and then I can win. And then, like, let's say somebody silences and stops me. They can play the Rhystic Study and at least I have an opportunity to counter it again.
yeah, I would also say probably clones.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's other colors that do some clones, but blue has the most that I can think of at this moment.
I mean, I'd say Mockingjay had huge impact on CDH.
It's so good.
More than people give it credit for. Like,
I would agree. You also have your Phantasmal and etc.
I don't
But
think I've seen Phantasmal except for certain decks outside. Like, I see it in like Kefka because they really want to run a bunch of clones, which clone Kefka I don't think is very good. But,
I mean, there's Metamorph.
yeah,
There's
Metamorph, Flesh Duplicate's pretty good.
there's that 3 cost imposter, clever
Clever
imperson-
Impersonator.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the instant speed stunt double, which is pretty cool. It's 3 generic and a blue. You can flash it out. So, like, let's say somebody like gets lucky and they play a Atali. On the Atali trigger, you can stunt double and then get the Atali trigger first.
That's funny.
Yeah,
But I mean, blue is pretty solid.
I didn't even think about clones. That's like a huge thing we could have missed. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. Like,
I was sitting here thinking, and I was like,
I was literally like, I'm not ready to move off blue. I feel like we're missing something.
clones is probably where it's at. Draw, counters,
Yeah,
Thassa.
yeah,
I mean, just gives a lot to the deck.
yeah. Let's move on to white. And I think white is, for me, it was kind of the hardest thing to talk about, because like when you think about white, usually like I'm kind of thinking from like, what big plays does white do? And like in casual formats, white's not really used too much. Like you might have like a white knight deck that someone's just like, I really like typal decks with knights, or like a stacks deck that includes white, which I mean, I guess stacks is kind of something that white offers, but most of the good stacks pieces are like Blood Moon or like most of the artifacts, you know?
I mean, you get Dranith. Dranith's
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah.
There's some of the 1-drops.
Deafening
or two.
Silence is really good. Yeah. You don't really see those in the current format though.
Yeah, they're obscure decks to them. I would say Smothering Tithe
Yeah.
is solid. It makes treasures good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a stacks per se, but the stacks is you either pay 2 or I win the game eventually. You know?
I would also argue that in a lot of cases Tataru Taru is better than Smothering.
I loved Taru Taru.
So good.
So we do a year in review every year, which by every year I mean last year, and I want to do it this year. But I have been sitting here and I've been thinking, I was like, what's my favorite card of the year? And like, spoiler alert, it might be Tataru Taru. Like, you know, like
It's solid.
I want the Chocobo tracks art so bad. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
like if that is under $50, I'm buying it day one.
Oh,
like,
day one, yeah.
I'd throw up to $70 at that.
It's probably going to be 100 at least.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, not to shoot your dreams,
I
but it's
know.
there. I would also say that
God, so good though. Like it's a 0/3 legendary that turns your Mox Amber on.
I would also say that white gets artifacts, artifacts and enchantment tutors.
Yeah, like
strong.
a Knight and Tutor. Yeah. Which
there's-
I mean, we love artifacts in CDH.
There's
so.
also Cloud does similar, mainly for art like equipments.
Oh yeah.
But and then just you can't act on my turn.
Yeah, silences. Yeah, like it's crazy because like white. So in casual, green is the best color, and arguably white is the worst. But it's strange in CDH where white is almost somewhat a necessity. Like if you have blue in your deck, you might be able to get away with not running white. But if you are a not blue deck, it's almost necessary for you to have white, which Atali's an exception. Atali's a like, well, I get a giant 7/7 dinosaur out and I just cast your stuff for free. Like, figure it out. Like, you know?
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah. I mean, same somewhat with VV and Raw, where it's like, I'm just gonna cast so many things. I don't care if you counter it. Like, I'm gonna overwhelm you. Like, not very many decks can do that overwhelm thing as good as white can do. And like, oh man, if you cast a Tali and then on the ETB someone silences you, like rip, you are done. Like
It's hard to think because just in mana value alone, 2 whites for an abolisher to make sure that nobody can counter on your turn.
1 white on someone else's or your own turn to just be like, you're done.
Oh, yeah,
know, like,
Orum's Chant, silence.
I mean, value silence every time. Like when we were talking about like when you have a gemstone and you have a silence in your hand, how that like little voice is just like, do it, do it. Like,
It's not uber impactful seemingly at 1st.
But I mean, like treasures are so strong because like treasures are, you can use them once, but it's not like you get a treasure on your turn and you have to use it. Like you can just sit there and be like, yeah, I'll just hold these for a little bit. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I made 2 treasures on my last turn. I untapped. I have 5 mana now. I'll get 6 mana. With 6 mana, I just win the game. You know, like,
Just try.
yeah, just try. And the other thing, I mean, like, it feels so weird to glance over silence and just be like, yeah, it just seals your turn and no one can interact, so you can just push a win. But it's like the thing that causes games to end before 80 minutes. Like, silence is such a weird thing. And like in my CDH career, it's like still the weirdest thing to me where like if someone casts silence and I have a counter, I'm just like, I mean, I can stop the silence, but like, do you guys have anything? And they're like, no. And I'm just like, do I even care? You know, like, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, you know, I lose if I don't counter the silence for sure. And if I counter the silence and no one can do anything else, then we just lose anyway. You know?
I'm gonna go on a little tangent, just a small one, just a smidgen. One of my favorite plays I've ever done was a stack of maybe like 5, and I was like, oh, man, the only thing I got is a silence. And immediately when I cast it, your face was just like,
guys, we cannot let this resolve.
We can't let the silence hit.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not even my turn.
It was, yeah. So I remember this. It was someone was currently trying to win with Underworld Breach combo, and Ghost had put a silence on the stack. I don't know why, but I was just like, the way he put that silence on the stack, I feel like he's gonna Born and then win, and we're not gonna have anything to do with it. And I was just like, it feels bad to like stop this silence while someone's currently pushing a win under it, but like, we're gonna lose. And it was funny because everybody was like, yeah, I'll just let the silence resolve, like I get to say my counter spells for my turn. And I was like, guys, no, like I have a counter spell, I've been sandbagging it, I'm gonna use it on the silence. They're like, why would you do that? It's like, he's gonna win. And they're like, yeah, the guy, no. I was like, no, the guy that casts the silence. And it was funny because like there were enough counters at the table to where everybody was able to stop your silence and also the person that was winning. I don't even remember who won that game.
Oh, I still went ahead.
Yeah.
There was so many, like, I think I just cast my Born and played on top of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Who runs a Born upon a win?
Yeah. It was just funny because everybody's like, oh yeah, thanks. It's like that Homelander meme where it's like whenever you silence somebody and then whenever you stop somebody's win and then you're about to win on top of them, and it's like him like lasering somebody and then everybody clapping and him being like, yeah, like raising his hands.
But no, side tangent aside, white is don't play on my turn, or
Yeah.
don't mess with my turn.
I've really liked Orum's chant because there's so many times where I'm like, God, I'm gonna have to bust this silence to just stop this person. And Orum's chant is I have two silences in my deck, one to use offensively, one to use defensively. Like,
One nobody, one not you.
yeah. And it's funny because like it's just every time someone casts silence to this day, I still kind of have to read it because I'll just be like, yeah, I'm a creature deck, I don't care. They're like, no, you can't cast spells at all. And I'm like, oh, not just non-creature spells, I can't even cast my commander. And they're like, yeah. It's like, all right, untap, draw, pass. You know, like,
Lay a land.
yeah, okay, cool, that sucks.
Next turn.
The other thing, it still feels weird moving off silence, like Grand Abolisher, Voice of Victory. There's just so many good, like, I just play creature, whatever. The other thing that, like, I always forget about silence effects, especially on, like, creatures, is if you play a Grand Abolisher and then you cast a take an extra turn spell with, like, Last Chance or, what's the instant speed one? It just, like, left my head.
I was going to say Born Upon a Wind.
I was about Finale of Devastation. I was like, that's not it.
No, it's
Final Fortune.
Final Fortune.
Yeah, what a weird name for an extra turn spell. But if you play Grand Abolisher and then you cast a take another turn spell, you get 2 turns that are silence where no one can interact even on your end step or your cleanup, right? Like it's weird because like you don't think about it because you're like, oh man, I'm gonna put a Grand Abolisher out and like I can't really win this turn, but definitely have it on my next turn. And there's been times where like I've said that and I'm like, I don't really want to cast this like extra turn spell because like on my next turn I don't want people to like drop an op agent or like on my end step interact with me. And I'm like, oh wait, there is no opportunity for them to do anything at all. Like they can't cast spells. So like
over.
I'll drop a Grand Abolisher, do whatever I'm going to do on this turn, keep 2 mana up, and be greedy, like not have an extra mana to Final Fortune, and then pass to my turn, and I've built, and then I get to untap all of my lands and just win. Like we had something today. I'm just, if you've gotten this far into the podcast, I'm just going to tell you my new commander. It's Rocco. So shh, that'll be for another one. But I didn't use my carpet mana. I played a land. I didn't use my carpet mana and I had to pass through combat. And I was like, if I'm passing through combat, that takes away my easiest win, which is just infinite Feldalar Guardians. So I was just like, okay, well, I'll do this. I'll get infinite creature mana. I'll get every creature in my deck. And I'll crack my Ranger Captain, which in my head, I knew that I had a Grand Abolisher, but I just cracked my Ranger Captain, And I was like, I'm going to do all of this stuff and you have protection from the One Ring. So I can't even lightning bolt you down. So I'll have to go to another turn. And then they were like, well, but I have a whole handful of stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I can get E-Witness and keep getting Ranger Captain back over and over. And then I have a Flare of Protection, the white one that makes all of my stuff hexproof. So you can't even exile my stuff. And they're like, well, I have my whole deck in my hand. I can do this. And when like we went through, I was like, if you want me to play this through, it's going to be like 2 hours long and I can guarantee you I'm going to come out on top. And I forgot that I had a Grand Abolisher, and I could, at any point during that conversation, with how strong Grand Abolisher is, I could just be like, hey, reminder, I have a Grand Abolisher. I'll pass. You won't be able to do anything on my turn. I'll pass again. I'll go to my next turn. You have no opportunity to respond. It's just happening. I'll put out the thing from the space set, Edge of Eternity, that makes combat damage not able to be prevented, and then I'll go to combat and I'll swing with you One Ring and I'll kill you. But it's just crazy that like those kinds of conversations of, well, I have every card in my deck out on the field, and they go, well, I have every card in my deck in my hand, are useless because I'm like, I just have a Grand Abolisher. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna channel a Otawara? You don't have enough mana. Like you're just locked out. I get another turn.
I think in that I even said you don't have any free mana.
Yeah.
Like whenever we were talking about it, I had already scooped up my stuff
Yeah.
and was like, I'm
Because
dead
I'd
anyway.
killed you guys. Yeah.
And I was like, well, what are you gonna do, man? You don't have
Yeah.
any mana untapped now.
But to me, it's just like really reflecting how strong Grand Abolisher was, where we had like a almost pretty heated discussion where I was like, no, like there's nothing you can do. And then after we had finally gotten food, and I was writing back, I was like, I had a Grand Abolisher out. Why were we talking about anything at all? Like it didn't matter at all, period.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
that's a very easy way for me to be like, I just win because I have a Grand Abolisher out, which like it's just the level of power of a silence in CDH is like, you can have your entire deck in your hand. I don't care.
It's it's a level of sneaky too on somebody else's turn with like Born Upon a Wind, to where they feel safe in their turn, and you're just like, unfortunately, man, here we go.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing White gives is the silences. It's just good.
Yeah. And then the thing on top of it, like we already kind of touched on treasures, but with White, you can remove cards from the game.
Oh, exiling. Yeah.
Exile. Which, I mean, is kind of crazy because like when you think about like Underworld Breach or like stuff like that, you're like, what do I do with this? Like okay, they just keep doing this. With White, you could just be like, I'm just gonna exile your LED. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And the thing that's crazy about White is there is a card in White. No one runs it, but it's a 1-cost instant that I think it's called Pull from Eternity. That like you just pull a card from exile into your graveyard, and you're like, I got this back. And like it's kind of what Karn does, but like a 1-cost instant White, which is kind of crazy. But there are times where like I'll play like Kenrith, for example, and someone's like, well, I can remove the Grand Abolisher, and I'm like, it does not matter if we remove it. If it goes to graveyard, it's just coming right back. So like we have to exile it, or it's going to be a constant problem.
Yeah. It's weird to say it's one of the weaker colors by itself, but paired with other things, super strong. Did you have anything else on White?
No, it's. I've said this a couple times. It feels weird passing through White as just like, yeah, just no one can do anything on your turn, but it's like super strong.
Yeah, it wins.
I think that's a pretty good core skill summary. I'd be open to doing a third one, but we'd probably do a third one down the line. Like, I think with this one and the first one, there's a pretty good core skill set that if you like listen to this and really like take it to heart, you're just like, okay, like I understand way better what to do. And if you've liked this and you haven't listened to the politics episode, like go listen to the politics episode. To me, that was really what separated me from like top 16 to top 4, or just what got me into top 16 as well. I feel like that made the biggest difference. That and just mulligans are like the two biggest things that I would say to focus on.
Oh yeah, they're the things that you have the most control over.
Yeah.
Without any real RNG included.
Or just people making bad decisions too. Like with politics, people have just done stuff where I'm like, do not do this, please. Like, I'm not even arguing for me. I'm just arguing for us to not lose the game.
By no means do I think that you should just yell at people if they make a bad decision. But
if you talk to them after, you're wasting your time because you should have talked to them before. Like, there's definitely times where I'm like, you can do that. This is the repercussions. I would really hope that we would not want that to happen.
Yeah, this is why.
And if you do want it to happen, I don't know what's in your hand, so I will say, like, while I don't agree with it, I'm not going to be mad at you.
Yeah, do what you're going to do.
It's like you have more information than me. I just don't think that with what I see, that's a good plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that is the end of the episode. If you made it all the way through and you're on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on podcast, please rate us 5 stars. And also, if you have not taken a look at the link tree, please consider doing it. We have our Coffee or Ko-Fi. I still don't know the way to pronounce that. I need to look that up. That's a good way to support us if you just want to toss us $1 or $2. You can also do recurring monthly subscription if you're just like, I really like these guys, I want more sound effects. And then on top of it, we do have a Discord and our TCG player in there. And if we have any key videos that we think are cool, they are going to be on the link tree as well.
For sure.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
Thank y'all.